Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It is time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. What is up? This is One and Done on a Sunday, talking hoops. I am the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens train. My name is Jay Heinrich. You can follow me on Twitter at Dr. William Cannon if you'd like. Would appreciate that. Follow me, I'll follow you back. That's how this works around these parts, okay? And then follow me, and then my guy over here with me tonight, the captain of that Green Screens Media ship, El Capitano himself in the hizzy. You can follow him on Twitter at MCHolland34, and if you aren't, you should be. He's that guy, Mike Collins. Mike, what it do, baby?
What up, man? I'm excited to talk some news and notes, man. I've been serving up, 4 shows a week right now. Just mixing and matching, man. So, we got a 2-man box. Our guy Eric, like you said on Twitter, somewhere on the moon.
Playing tennis with Aquaman and Chris Tucker. Yeah,
exactly, man. But I'm excited, man. Let's get the cats, that are joining us, and we'll rewatch later some news and notes, man. What do you got?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like Mike said, before we get into some news and notes from the weekend, we can tie some things together from the topics that we've been letting you know about here for weeks and weeks and weeks now. Before we hop in, our guy Anthony G hanging out with us in the chat, excited about that 10K up top tomorrow night, 3,100 entries. Let's go indeed. So while we are here for some news and notes tonight, we did put together a little core 4 possibly for tomorrow for that Monday slate where there's going to be a little bit of money on that line. So Anthony G, this is just for you, Big Cat, and all the rest of y'all that are looking to make a little bit of money tomorrow. We're looking at that nice core 4 tomorrow. Jalen Wilson at 9,500. Mike Miles Jr. at 7,400. What a difference maker. And we'll talk a little TCU later, but what a difference maker with him back on the floor immediately there. Ty Rodgers at 4,500 for a little bit of value, even if Shannon plays. And Derek Lively at 6,600 has the possibility of absolutely destroying Louisville if, big if, he can stay out of foul trouble. So let's go. The quick core 4 tonight: Jalen Wilson, Mike Miles Jr., Ty Rodgers, Derek Lively. All right. Now, see what we got over here.
We got another comment. Jody's back. Man.
Hey, Jody, what's up, man? Good to see you again. Thanks for coming back in. Excellent. Back to see how the weekend went. Yeah, Jody, either way, happy to have you back. Weekend was good. We're really looking forward to this Tuesday slate coming up, and we'll hit on that tomorrow night. Yeah. But like Mike said earlier, we're going to be here to talk a little bit about the news and notes from the weekend. I'm going to do some quick hitters first before we dive into a few specific topics. For me, I want to talk a little bit about stuff that went down today. Memphis pushing Houston to the limit without Kendrick Davis, who did warm up but was in a boot by tip-off. Memphis ended up falling to Houston, but nothing to be ashamed of there. Houston probably locked up a number 1 seed in the big dance coming out of the AAC now. Good showing from Memphis today without Davis. He'll probably be back here their next game, I would imagine. Also, Bradley and my favorite, Missouri Valley. Well, Missouri Valley action here. Bradley momentarily took over first place in the Missouri Valley Conference after their 8th straight victory, playing some hot basketball right now. And then our guys from Drake, finished off Belmont to keep pace. So those 2 teams are tied atop the Missouri Valley right now. And again, remember, it's so important to get a top 4 seed in that conference tournament because those seeds get buys. Number 5 right now, the odd team out is Belmont. Looking Drake, Bradley, Indiana State, Southern Illinois, and Belmont for the Missouri Valley. So good stuff from Bradley and Drake there. And Zach Edey, who is most likely going to be the National Player of the Year, in my opinion, 26 points, 11 boards, 3 blocks against a struggling Ohio State team, getting Purdue back on track after a few rough ones there. We noticed they've been struggling after starting off so hot, and a player like Edey can help you get back on track real quick. Mike, anything to take away from those quick hitters of me, and how about anything else from the weekend that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, I think Edie's got it locked up at this point, right? I mean, just dominant. So, we love talking Missouri Valley, man. That was, it was a lot of fun to kind of watch Drake taking care of business. Just a basket there separating the the Bradley Southern Illinois game. So, yeah, a lot of fun, man. I think my takeaways are from Saturday. The Big East. I mean, we've been talking about how it's been so jumbled up at the top. Marquette kind of taking their turn at the top there in the driver's seat, but all the favorites up at the top are holding serve. So, Xavier 82-68 over DePaul at home, Providence 85-72 over Villanova at home, and then Creighton on the road 77-67 over St. John's. So, we're probably not going to get any more clarity on the Big East until we round into the Tuesday, Wednesday here. And then kind of a preview, we did mid-majors last week. We're going to be talking about them again later this week. I believe that's on doc for our Thursday show. But want to talk about the MAC and a coach and some teams that we interviewed, and that's the Toledo Rockets. Coach Todd Kowalczyk, he sat down with myself and Eric talking about his team, and they've been playing really well here. They're 12-2 in conference. Them along with Akron, who's 11-3 in the MAC. They both held serve on Saturday. Toledo won 91-86 over Bowling Green on the road, and then Akron took down Buffalo at home 86-66. They're going to play each other Tuesday. It's going to be a huge game. Kent State's also there at 12-2. This is a one-bid league. That's something that we talked to Coach Kowalczyk about. He's kind of feeling that they could be a two-bid league at the beginning of the year, but it just doesn't seem that way. Not a lot of multi-bid mid-majors this year, outside of like the Mountain West and potentially the Conference USA. We don't really count AAC, and WCC is those got some powerhouses in them. So I think it's going to be a fun one to watch on Tuesday. Akron also plays Kent State in the final game of the year. So, we'll talk more about the MAC as we do our Thursday show and break that down a little more. So stay with us there. And the final thing that stuck out to me, we don't really talk too much Pac-12. It seems like it's just been a two-headed race the entire time. Just not much action. There's just not a lot of great basketball being played in that conference. And if it is, I'm typically asleep unless it's UCLA or Arizona there. So, UCLA is staying a game and a half ahead of Arizona. They drowned Cal 78-43 on the road. They got to avoid some traps here. They go to Utah and Colorado before the finale against Arizona. So, those are just kind of some of my takeaways. I had an awesome Saturday. Hit all four of my bet slips. Some that we posted on or that we talked about on the Friday night show for the Saturday slate. So, my wallet's feeling a little bit fatter. DFS wasn't as great. I know you had a decent time, but any more takeaways before we kind of dive into the four topics? I think we have a few more comments here from Jody.
Yeah, I saw Jody left as a comment there. Now the hype has calmed down. Penny building a nice program. Absolutely. We've seen some players come in and take coaching jobs and have a little bit of that steam behind them at the start and then sort of fade off. And I do think that Penny has found a way now that the hype train has cooled a little bit to really just establish, to dig in and do what he's trying to do and coach the way that he wants to coach. And Memphis is looking really sharp, 20-7 overall. They've only lost once at home all season. Obviously 10-4 in the AAC, which again, there's some big time basketball being played over there. So absolutely, Jody, that's a great point. And I also know our guy Corey was checking in the chat. What's up, my guy? What it do, man? What it do, Corey? Hope you had some luck on that NASCAR race today. I made a little bit of money, not much, but had a little bit of a profit on the NASCAR DFS today. I know Corey was involved in a little bit of that too. So, skirt. So,
right turn.
Oh, by the way,
left turn.
Yeah, skirt. By the way, if you've noticed, I'm in a different environment tonight, guys and girls that are watching. Okay,
are you in a safe place?
Yes, I am in a safe place. Everything is good. I don't need to hold up a newspaper for a hostage video or anything like that. I traveled up I-35, blink twice, yeah. I traveled up I-35 with our guy Kerry, actually, Green Screens Media guy Kerry. traveled all the way up I-35 from Austin to St. Paul in one day. And we drove all the way up here, and I'm hanging out up here in St. Paul right now. Shout out to Venn Brewing Company here in Minneapolis with the blueberry lemonade THC seltzer. Shout out to that. Digging this a little bit. Can't get this down in Buda in Austin, Texas. That's for dang sure. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know if you were noticing that my background looks a little bit different today. That's why. And of course you do, because you're always here paying attention to what we're doing. And we appreciate that about y'all that are here with the show. So, all right. Yeah, Anthony, what do we got there? Love the core four. You guys got talking at one. Yep. Hey, love that core four. Yeah, we're all in on it, man. I'll play a little bit. I wasn't even entertaining it because it's a smaller slate tomorrow. But now that we did a little core four action, I might get a little bit of involvement there. So good luck, Anthony, tomorrow in your slate. And like I said, come back and join us tomorrow night again so we can fill you in on that Tuesday slate. All right. Let's head on into the first topic for our news and notes show. Get some quick hitters now. We're going to spend a little bit more time on this. Out of nowhere, went from no wins in this conference to, what do we got here? 4-10 all of a sudden now. And that's those Texas Tech Red Raiders, those pesky Red Raiders, who, of course, had been playing some good basketball as the season has gone on, but they didn't get those bounces. And now in a tough Big 12, all of a sudden picking up some quad one wins, some quality victories for this Texas Tech team. And the 78-72 game win on the road on Saturday, man, that at West Virginia, who is down there at the bottom and is, in danger of maybe not making this tournament now, because the Big 12 we've discussed is probably going to get 8 teams, and West Virginia and Texas Tech, it's going to come down to the end and who's going to be that 8th. And of course, a little conference tournament action too. But who wants to play Tech in the conference tournament? I don't. I don't. Now. So yeah. So Mike, what's your take on sort of how Tech has been handling their business, and how do you see the rest of this Big 12 season breaking down, specifically with Tech and maybe West Virginia?
Yeah, well, they're tied now for that 8th spot, and that's critical. Now 15-12, 4-10. Still feels like outside, but it's like, man, you just rattled off 4 really good wins, and you're back in the conversation, and that's where they need to be right now. So 78-72 road win. We actually called them out at +6.5. Really wish we called out the money line, right? So we'll take the +6.5 where it wins regardless. But so for me, it comes down to if they can pick up a quality, either one. Texas Tech or West Virginia, who can pick up some more of these quality quad one wins, even the quad two. The Big 12 is just a dynamo, right? So Tech, their last 4 games here at Oklahoma, then home against TCU, at Kansas. That could be a huge one. You go on the road and beat Kansas. And then finishing out with Oklahoma State. Seems like a little bit better chance than what you have here in West Virginia. I'm going to get Oklahoma State at home. Also going to travel to Kansas, but also going to Iowa State, which is never a fun place to play, or Kansas State. So it feels like Tech with that Oklahoma game and kind of finishing out against OK State. They even have TCU at home. Ride the momentum here. If they can, go 2-2 and then, win a game or two. It just seems like they're set up a little bit better now, whereas West Virginia seems to be sliding a little bit. So, it comes out to Fardal's AMAC for me. He went 14-12. He was 7,100 on DraftKings too, just kind of bringing some DFS talk, and I was over him. He scored 30 fantasy points. We know he was a beast at Utah Valley, and he's just been hurt, and now they're kind of a different team. Your boy Jalen Tyson, who jumped off the train, dropped 25 points, and then Harmon was just steady. So, yeah, how can you not like this team right now? Mark Adams, they got him rolling. So that's the thing about the Big 12 is it just kind of comes in stretches, man. Any thoughts between Tech and West Virginia for you before we kind of move on?
I think you're spot on here with the way that the schedule sets up, and nobody really wanting to play Tech. Nobody's really scared of West Virginia when they're not playing in Morgantown. So, it's not intimidating at all. And Tech doesn't exactly have the best road record either, but it just feels like a different team right now, getting hot at the right time, and one that I do feel like is going to make this run and get that 8th spot. Obviously there'll be some bubble busters. There'll be a couple of these, but a lot of these leagues, and we've talked about this, a lot of these leagues, especially mid-majors, there are one bid. We're going to see it so often. One bid. There's not going to be those teams that, maybe outside of an FAU or something like that, where you have like these 2-bid leagues where we're probably looking at the quality and ordinarily they're not going to get two bids. Unless something crazy happens, the Big 12 is going to get 8 teams, and I do think that Texas Tech is going to be that 8th team. Yeah, Carrie, our guy Carrie actually checking in. What it do? Got to get that Zen THC Seltzer sponsorship. Indeed. Let's work on that. Let's work that in. Let's work that into the old agenda here.
Oh, man, from the moon. Yeah. Our guy from checking in from the moon landing.
Hey, yeah. How's that tennis going with Aquaman and Chris Tucker, my guy? You doing okay back there? Appreciate you, Eric, in the comments. Hey, and all of you. We appreciate all of the activity here in the live chat, in the comments section. Keep it up. We appreciate that. We love interacting with everybody. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Do your part in the Green Screens Media universe. And we appreciate how much y'all have been interacting lately. It's been great. It's a lot. It's fun. I like talking to Mike and Eric, but being able to interact with y'all.
Yeah, don't lie. You like talking to me more.
Yeah, maybe possibly. I don't. Eric's in the comments and stuff. I don't want to bag on him too hard without him being able to be here to defend himself. But Mike's my favorite. Okay, all right. We moved on now to the next. Okay, what do we got here? Oh gosh, let's move on to this next topic here, Mike.
Yeah, we're gonna do it again.
we're gonna do it.
We're going to talk low-scoring basketball again.
Can't wait. All right, here we go. This is the question I'm going to pose to you right now, Mike.
All right.
Is there a more absolutely fraudulent team than Tennessee in the country?
I think I sent you a text on Saturday, and I just said, like, if you were betting Tennessee to win this entire thing on your bracket, like, you are absolutely out of control.
You're a madman.
And I dig that about you. So as Cuba Gooding said.
Yes.
Yeah, this is I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't. I mean, there were obviously. Kentucky's no slouch, but still, man, like it's the offensive output. It's crazy. I mean, you lose 66-54 at Kentucky. You shoot 6 for 27 from 3. I was told there was no math on this show, but that's 22%. And then 4 for 14 from the free throw line. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? 29%. I mean, yeah, they're coming off the big win against Bama after coming off the 2 buzzer beaters. Like, yeah, okay, so I'm okay to put them in the round of 32, but man, they run into one of these, one of these teams that's hot, or you get one of the top dogs. I don't know, man. Like, they got handled by Kentucky twice. Look at their February. They scored 54 in a loss at Florida, and obviously there's Colin Castleton was there, but still, like, Florida, kind of underachieving this year now, especially with Castleton out. And then you guys talk about it every time, you and Eric, when they won that game against Auburn, scoring 40. What was it, 46-43?
46-44.
Yeah, 44. Like, oh my gosh, like, what are we doing here? And we're scarred because we had Rick Barnes here for a long time, but then he kind of switched it up and just hasn't seemed to do that quite yet at Tennessee. It looks like he's just all about his defensive mentality again. You lose to Vanderbilt scoring 65. The sweep against Kentucky, I mean, you scored 54, but you only scored 56 last time. So it's like,
right.
I don't know. I just don't. Can you be confident filling out your bracket, getting them to an Elite Eight? Like, it just, I mean, I get it. They're number one in defensive efficiency, and that's going to keep you in every game. But come on, at some point, like, you got to have to make some baskets, especially if you're going to shoot, in the 20s from the free throw line and from 3. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's horrific. And no, the short answer is no, I can't feel confident putting them through, into the second weekend. It's the classic Rick Barnes sort of scenario here, where you look at the talent on this team and you look at their peak. And I don't mean defensive peak. This is a defensive team, like you said, Mike. This is a team that wins with their defense. And every once in a while finds a way to somehow show that they can score 65 or 70, but they live to play in the 50s, and it does not work for me in terms of even being remotely excited about moving. This seltzer's got me. Excuse me.
What else is in that thing, man? You got some extra stuff in there.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you, man. Yeah. I mean,
I just can't do it.
Yeah,
I can't do it, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's get out of this Tennessee talk. Do you guys watch and feel like Tennessee is like a second weekend sort of a team? I mean, this is it's tough, right? Because they're going to be at worst a 3, don't you think?
Yeah.
At worst.
I mean, it feels like it, but I don't like. It wouldn't surprise me if they dropped, another couple of games here. I don't know. I hate watching that type of basketball, right?
Yes.
Like, it just makes my eyes bleed, and that's how you get beat by, a 14, a 13, and by a good team that's hot. That's a 4 or 5. Like a 6, and I guess in their case. So, yeah, man, it's scary. I'm just off of it.
Yeah, I'm off of it too, and anything that has to do with Tennessee, I'm pretty much done with it. And until the next time we come in here and talk about how they only put up 48 points and only hit 4 free throws all game long. So yeah, I think it's a good idea to move on now. Let us know in the chat if you think Tennessee is worth a a second weekend or a beyond pick in your bracket right now.
I think Jody's in here.
Jody only won Sweet 16.
That sounds like the Big Ten right there. Yeah, Kentucky swept them, and like I said, Tennessee only scored 54 and 56 against them. So Kentucky had that huge win at Tennessee, where people were off of Kentucky, and then now we're I guess kind of back on the train. Seems like them in North Carolina we're just flip flopping every other game.
Yeah, and we'll hit up North Carolina here in a little bit too. Yeah. But before then, let's go back to some more Big 12 action. This is obviously, in most people's opinions, the best conference in basketball, top to bottom, with the quality that's in this league night in and night out. Every game feels like it's a quad 1 victory and a big win if you can get it in this conference. After starting off pretty slow, I think they were down 15 or 16 at half.
Yeah.
The Kansas came back and won against Baylor on Saturday, 87-71. 13 quad 1 wins for this Jayhawk team, Mike.
Yeah.
It's, Kansas is out there. They're top 10, top 8, top 5, maybe top 4 sort of a team, depending on how the rest of this run goes. And before the bracket is released, what do we make of Kansas right now? But not just Kansas. Baylor's sort of in an interesting spot right now too, atop this conference as well.
Yeah, and man, what a game! What a second half. Baylor now 9-6. So you look at it here, and it's Kansas and Texas tied at 10-5. Which last game of the year in Austin, Kansas coming to town. Could that be for an outright? I don't know, because Texas kind of limped through that. It was a desperate Oklahoma team taking their best punches. Come on, they destroyed. Who was it? You destroyed Alabama. Yeah. So we know that they can ball out. So Texas escaping with that one. Both 10-5. Baylor's 9-6. And you have K-State and Iowa State both 8-6. Oh man, for Kansas, they're surging. I mean, I didn't think this was going to happen this year. When you replace all these dudes, man, Abaji, Braun, McCormick in the middle, there were questions about Jalen Wilson being a top dog, and he's been everything and more. Probably have him, if TJD wasn't going bonkers right now, I'd probably have him second or third in the National Player of the Year voting. He went 21-13. In this Baylor game. DeJuan Harris, if he's going to play like this and go 14 points, 9 assists, and play his lockdown defense, this team's dangerous. Then Grady Dick, right? Bonus with the 5-star actually shows up and is a 5-star, scorer, can grab some boards. And then Kevin McCullough, obviously just a tough kid who knows the Big 12 coming over from Texas Tech. I thought they would have some troubles with outside shooting in that first game of the year. I think I sent a tweet out and said, Grady Dick needs to be playing because the lineup that you have out there, it doesn't have any shooting, and he inserts shooting into the lineup to go along with Wilson. DeJuan Harris every now and then can knock it down. McCullough every now and then can knock it down, but when you just have one guy that can spread the floor consistently, it's tough. Now, when you get two guys out there that can spread the floor, it's a game changer on the offensive side. So Bill Self, he knows what he's doing, right? He made a quick change. I believe it was the very next game. Grady Dick was inserted into the starting lineup. So,
yep.
He knows what he's doing. Until I see anything different, I would love our horns to somehow win this league. But you know what would happen, right? They win the league and they're bounced in the first the first game of the Big 12 tournament. That's just how good this league is, man. But for Kansas, they got TCU coming up at TCU. For EJ, is that a trap game? Do you see TCU taking it here? I think they're a 2-point favorite. I think it's was it tomorrow? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, tomorrow night, and this is absolutely a trap game for Kansas. Yeah. Mentioned it earlier. Mike Miles Jr. being back on the floor, my guy.
Hey, don't forget Eddie Lampkin.
Lampkin was back too. He didn't quite have the statistical game the other night that Miles did, but Lampkin's back too from injury. Both of those guys being on the floor for them. TCU is dangerous. That is a dangerous team when they're firing up on all cylinders. And I do think that this is the game where TCU just dropped 100 the other night. This is a 100 hundo burger on Oklahoma State. Exactly. Yeah. A team that is fighting in this conference just like they are. And
a top 10 defense, I did not see that coming.
Needed that win, absolutely needed that win. And TCU just Mike Miles comes in. It's the Mike Miles show, takes care of business. That's just going to be a fun one to watch, whether or not we're involved with the on the DFS side tomorrow night or not. Tune into that one for sure and see some good Big 12 basketball. All right. Before we move on to the last, little bit of the last game that we're going to spend some time on and focus on here, let us know what you think about this Big 12. Kansas seems like a team to me that can definitely make it all the way. When Texas is firing off on all cylinders, they should name the conference the Big Quad One. Basically, I don't know. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I bet that combined, the Big 12 has more Quad One wins than any other conference, and it's probably not even close, right?
Yeah,
it's by a bunch. That whole iron sharpens iron thing, I think we're going to see it hold true as the tournament progresses. And Kansas is somebody that I may be penciling in to go a long, long, long way.
Hey, shout out Taylor here, man. Thanks for joining us. Kansas going back to back, man. If you'd have told me that at the beginning of the year, I would have taken your bet, and it feels like I'm going to lose some money. But
yeah, wouldn't feel as good about that right now. Shattuck, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate that. Sure. Thanks for hopping into the chat. It's kind of hard to argue, honestly, with that right now. And maybe that's a little bit of foreshadowing for me. And when we get down to our bracketology show, I'm just saying. I told you guys I love that. Kansas has 13 Quad One wins and leads Purdue by 4 games. Yeah, so all over that, man. And
Purdue has 10 Quad Ones. I think they have 9. I did next. I think Texas and Purdue are next with 9. So yeah,
right.
Kansas handling business. But man, I don't know, Jake. Don't we have to go down this road right now? Kansas win the national.
No, we don't.
This thing is holding wide open. I think it beat in the second round.
Especially since and I told you
Max Asmus.
Yes, I do want to see some Max Asmus action in the tournament, and I'm hoping we will, because that's another one of those. Or if Oral Roberts doesn't win their conference tournament, we're going to be robbed of seeing this guy in the big dance, and so hopefully they can come through and take care of that. Let's move on now. Let's move away from the Big 12 a little bit and talk about the ACC. Eric and I were both documented on this show as saying, here we go, as Kentucky was in and North Carolina was out. It's looking North Carolina is going to have a harder time now getting in, still on that bubble, but losing on the road to NC State. Obviously, NC State number 23 in the country right now. It's not necessarily that you go on the road and lose in this instance. For me, Mike, it's more about what they didn't do in this game, and it was basically focused around their 2 stars, and then just fizzled down the stretch and didn't have enough to get the job done. So what is it about North Carolina right now that is holding them back? And what are they going to have to do to really get off of that bubble and even into the first four, because I think Kentucky is going to be a lock.
Yeah.
They're going to get a seed. They're not going to have to play their way in like that. But if this committee finds a way to put North Carolina into that first four, what's it going to take, for them to even be competitive? Because right now I'm not really liking what I'm seeing from the Tar Heels.
Yeah, well, we've been banging the drum on how to be competitive, and that is to play through Baycott. And yeah, they just have a tendency to just jack up threes. Like, look, man, they're missing Brady Manick. Like, I like Nance, he's a good player, but Brady Manick, man, he just gave this team a different type of ceiling. Look, I think the thing that we've been talking about, the old quad one, zero quad one wins. Is that that's I would have lost a lot of money on that bet preseason, which is why you're absolutely crazy for betting anything preseason college basketball, because then you have Pitt ending up at the top of the ACC right now, along with a Virginia team that was supposed to be there. So a lot of things that can, and a lot of things you don't see happening. So that's not a lot. Yeah. Yeah, Eric, that's not a lot, man. Get back to your tennis game, all right? But yeah, look, losing to North Carolina State, no slouch, right? Hype them up, hype these guys up. I was so excited about their roster this year, especially when they got Terquavian Smith back. And then they brought over Jarkel Joyner. Man, you do not want to see these guys in the tournament. No. You love to talk about guard play. These two dudes, oh my goodness. And then you add my big man down there with his little footwork and
nice.
The big body,
real
DJ
nice.
Burns just doing his thing.
Yeah.
Former Big South Player of the Year. I think they're a really great team. I still think they have more ceiling than what people believe. But hey, here's the thing with North Carolina, right? They still, most of the times that they're on the court, they will still have more talent than the other team that they are playing.
Yep.
And at some point it could click and it's going to be absolutely scary. The thing is they're just not shooting as well from three as they did last year, man. It is a huge difference. And if you're just going to chuck up threes and, go and have some nights where Love goes, 1 for 10 from three and RJ Davis goes, 0 for 4, it's just not a recipe for winning, especially if you're going to turn the ball over and not play through Baycott. Baycott, 16 and 14, right?
Yep.
So, man, look, I did my victory lap about a week ago when they got the win the other day, and Kentucky fell, right. Now you guys can take y'all's victory lap. Jody here on the quad one.
Just as many quad one wins as your local YMCA. That's right. Yeah, same as just as many quad wins as One and Done has right here on the Green Screens Media Network, brought to you by drroto.com. Yeah, same number of quad one wins for sure. Yeah, that's tough.
And I'm just mad at North Carolina right now because I was 4 for 4 on my parlays yesterday, and I was like, I'm going to get the early parlay in, and they just collapsed at the end. I was getting them, plus on the money line. I was like, they need this one. They're going to get this one. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm done with Sunday betting. I was like, let me throw a few flyers out there on the NASCAR event. But, I don't know, man. For me, I just see the talent, and there's a chance every time. And, it's going to be rough if they don't make it. They're going to be the first preseason number 1 to not make it to the tournament, which would be crazy, absolutely crazy. Any last thoughts on that?
I think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to make the tournament. I've been on this for a few weeks now. I don't think they're a tournament team. They sure as heck don't look like a tournament team right now.
We should make a one and done bet right here. We can shake on it right here. All right.
What is it? What's the bet? What are we doing?
One of us has to run to Dallas from Austin. Yeah, right, dude.
Dallas nightclub? That's the only Dallas and Austin that I'm running to, and even then, I ain't going there. I promise you that. So,
we'll do a couple of pennies.
All right, that works. That works for sure.
Or one of us has to buy one into a big jam.
All right. Maybe we could work that out. We'll figure that out. All right. Good deal. 4 games there that we wanted to hit on and elaborate a little bit. for some weekend action here. Don't forget to smash, and I do mean smash, those like and subscribe buttons when you can. Got some new commenters today. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us and interacting with us on the show. Keep bringing it. We love that. We love to hear from y'all. We got some new pop up here. What do we got?
Oh, Jody, that's what I'm talking about.
NC State is the top North Carolina team.
Let's go. Highest ceiling, I think, at least for
I
right
agree.
now.
For right now, Jody, it's a great point to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not touching North Carolina with your money. Okay, Mike. So, it's a good point to make here.
I did.
Dr. Roto. Mike's got the receipts on NC State too. A comment over there from drroto.com over there. He does, and that Mike was on that, and that is a team, man. With Smith, we didn't even talk about. So Jarkel Joyner dropping 29 in that game.
Went nuclear. The second half.
So that's the thing is, I don't even think NC State played their best game today. They only had 5 guys score.
Yeah.
It was 4 guards and DJ Burns, and that's it. But when those guards are playing that well, nobody wants to play this team in March, man. Nobody. I love the guard play. I like to talk about guard play. And NC State,
you could write a book about it, man.
I could. I'd have to include in there though, my greatest single game achievement as a point guard. I had 10 assists in one game, but I also had 9 turnovers in that same game. So it balances itself out. That's how I would start off my book, I think. But that's neither here nor there. Moving on now to got a little betting lines for tomorrow, Mike. We wrapped up some news and notes. Let's hit some betting lines for tomorrow. Let's give the people a few things to look at here in terms of some lines, some numbers. What are you liking?
Yeah, so obviously a smaller slate on a Monday. I'm looking at it here, man. And Louisville, whatever that was, like a great win against Clemson, embarrassing loss for Clemson. That's funny, man. I looked at the plus 10.5 and I was like, this is a game that Clemson was fool's gold from the jump for me in this ACC title or ACC championship run. And now they're showing that. But that final dunk at the end, I think it was Ella Ellis. Like, I get it, man. They've had a long season. It's been a long couple of years, especially everything that happened last year. Like, I get it, right? But still, come on, sportsmanship. Like, let's act like you've won 3 other games. Let's act like you've won one of those. I think they're going to get the brakes beaten, as you would like to say, the brakes beaten off of them. Going to Duke. It's 18.5, which I almost never suggest. But in this instance, I feel like it's just I feel like they're going to get beat by like 25-30, man. So, if you want to use this as more of a little $10 money line booster when you play like a 2 or 3 game parlay and make it a 4th game or a 3rd game, I just don't see them being very competitive. So looking at that Louisville Duke game, what are your thoughts on that? Do you have a similar path on that, or you think Louisville can make it a fight, man, on the road?
No, I don't, and I don't normally mess with anything 18.5 of anybody. But if I was going to pick a side, I would pick Duke here. Yeah, it's just Louisville's having a season where it's just
fool's gold in that last game. Like it's a nice little story. They wasted all their energy. Like it feels like they're just going to get rocked.
and then you go to the Coach K Dome and like you alluded to, get the absolute brakes beaten off of them by the Blue Devils, and I'm with you there. What else we got? Oklahoma State at West Virginia. Little Big 12 action here. Okie State, 5.5 point dogs here. What are you liking on this side?
Kind of like the plus 5.5. We love the Big 12. Man, been making money over the last week just riding the Big 12 team that needs to come back, right? Like we had K-State beating Oklahoma. Anytime someone's backs are against the wall, they need that Texas Tech over West Virginia. Now, okay, State, I like the points here. I don't know if I like the outright win, but I feel like it's going to be a dogfight. And I like the under. Look, I chased the under. It was the one bet that I missed on Saturday. I had no idea that TCU would score 98 points. I think it was 98 against Oklahoma State. And this is going to be – I feel like this is going to be those ugly Big 12 dogfights at West Virginia. Crowd's going to be insane because they need this one. Where are you at on it? You taking the plus 5.5, and are you going under with me at 143.5?
I'm not. I'm actually taking West Virginia at home in this game. I don't mind the under, but I actually like West Virginia at home in this instance because again, like we're saying, and first of all, let's not shortchange TCU. Okay, that was 100 spots the other night.
Was it? That was 98.
It was 100 to 75.
I stopped watching when it went past 140.
So this, I understand why. You talk about a team that needs a win.
Yeah.
And both of these teams need wins now. I'm going to go to the home team that needs the win here the most. And I think West Virginia does cover that number as well. Let's move on now. A little Big Ten action. Mike, give us a game in the Big Ten that you're looking at.
Yeah, Minnesota plus 14.5 at Illinois, 135.5. I don't know that I like either one of these numbers. Look, we think that Shannon's going to be back after the concussion. A great game against Indiana, really hard fought. Matthew Mayer went bonkers. The DFS side, man, like I had a few shares of him. I just couldn't really put anything else around him for the most part. But man, if you want to use Illinois as just like just as a parlay booster for a couple of bucks, like on the money line, I don't mind it. But Minnesota, I mean, they're not great, right? But just a little uncomfortable with Illinois covering 15 points. I don't know, Jay. Are you think they can cover the 15? Minnesota's, I mean, they've been terrible.
They're pretty bad. Again, this is getting into the territory that I usually don't like to mess around with the points this high, with 14.5. If I would have to pick a side on that line, I'm probably going to take Illinois to cover that. Yeah. But I like your thought process more of just using Illinois money line here as a booster because they're not going to lose this game.
Yeah.
They're taking care of business right now, and I like that. Yeah, the 135.5 too. It's sort of
that's right. Like
that's just right in that murky area where I don't feel like messing with that sort of a number. And if Illinois is on, it could. I mean, this could end up in the mid 140s like this.
Yeah.
So I'll probably stay away from it this game, but I do like your approach there for the Illinois money line as a little booster there for your parlay. Lastly, Mike, let's go back to the Big 12. Kansas TCU, big matchup here. Where are you leaning?
Oh man, I know TCU been banging the drum on their futures line, so. When I saw their 2.5 point favorites, though, I just looked at like Kansas and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having Kansas plus money here. Plus 2.5 plus money on the money line. I'll go ahead and take Kansas in case I get that buzzer beater there. 149.5, man. Are you laying the points with TCU and under over? You got a feeling on it?
I just hinted to you how I feel about Kansas and the rest of this season. So for me to go back now and not pick them to win this Big 12 matchup might be a little bit backwards. But TCU with the injuries returning and that game against Oklahoma State, that is peak TCU. And if they're coming off that high, did they blow it all in that game? I don't know. We'll see. Is Kansas going to come in focused and ready to rock? Pardon me, on the road, up in Fort Worth. It's so hard not to take Kansas here just because of where they are and how well they've been playing. But on the road,
you want it. You want the minus 2.5. I can hear it in your voice.
You're right. Give me TCU minus 2.5. All right.
Exactly.
Oh, here we go. Cameron.
Hey, he's back, man.
Cameron is back. I am back. The 2-team Kansas State Arkansas pick was great. Seemed like a smooth bet. I didn't sweat very much. Any 2-teamer for tomorrow? Well, Cameron, we just gave you a couple of interesting plays there. Yeah. That you might be able to use to get this bread a little bit, like we like to say.
Let me take a stab and see if we can. And maybe you can take a little stab here on your minus 2.5 here.
All right. Okay.
I like taking the Oklahoma State plus 5.5, and then Give me the Kansas money line. Like, let's get it popping, because I know you're going to disagree with both. The camera can decide which green screen media member he's a fan favorite.
Well, judging by the way that your tickets have been cashing, I have a feeling I know which way he should go. But my two-teamer for tomorrow will be TCU -2.5, and I'm going to take West Virginia to cover that 5.5 at home too. So I'm going to take two Big 12 favorites.
So it's me against you tomorrow in this game. These two games,
yeah,
man.
Let's do it. I love it. And we love you guys for jumping in and interacting with us. Yeah, Eric. I just hope everybody goes out there, has a good time, plays their best. Both teams play hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Just hope everybody goes out and has a great time. We have a great time sitting here talking with you guys too, and thanks for tuning in. This was the News and Notes show. Like Mike said when we started the show, we're hitting you 3-4 days a week now as we get down to the tournament. We're going to be in Vegas in 3 weeks, like a month, something like that, covering that second weekend of the tournament. We're going to be coming at you 3-4 times a week, every week leading up to it, bringing you the news and notes, bringing you the DFS plays, bringing you the betting lines, and the over-unders. You know why? So you can get this bread, baby.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.